Yes. And as you were, even talking about that earlier on, I mean, just listening to you, all of the people that come in, there's no two of them are the same. But what I like to additionally, layer on top of that is that you're not the same person you were 20 years ago. You're
That's
not the same person you were 5 years ago. You're not the same person you were 3 years ago. So all of these things, we're not even comparing, one one individual to another individual when we're talking about menopause or fertility challenges or any of those things. We can't compare. You have the same diagnosis, but it doesn't manifest the same.
yes.
But even in your body, we cannot compare you of a year ago to you to 3 years ago, pre baby, post baby,
Yeah.
baby number three versus baby number five. I mean, you're not the same person. Your body has undergone things. So just because this worked for you in your doesn't mean it's going to work for you in their late 30s or early 40s because your body isn't the same. And
Yes.
so the prescription or the diagnosis, even though it may look the same on paper with the same words, it's not going to be the same thing. And so I think that's also frustrating because some women get to a point where their body's not responding the way it used to, or it's not doing what it could do or bounce back the way it could used to, or they need more sleep. Or I'm one of those people. I thank heavens I have always been a good sleeper, but I realized, oh, naps are a thing now. Like I can nap now. Before I was like, naps like in the middle of the day, like who's
Right.
napping? And now I'm like,
Yes.
a nap might be good. I think I could do that and enjoy it, and I do enjoy it.
Yes.
So it's one of those things that our bodies change, and acknowledging that is part of this battle. And so I was thinking about this, and as a couple weeks ago, I was on a panel, and it was about from conception to internment in terms of all the different ways and aspects of a woman's life cycle, and how our health changes, and how what the health challenges are that change. And so when we talk about aging, everyone's talking about perimenopause and menopause, and I'm glad that you even made that distinction because I think we talk about peri now, and I'm like, we're just shortening peri to perimenopause to Perry. Like she's got a nickname now, Miss Perry. I was like, what are we doing? I was like, we're doing this now? She's called Miss Perry? And I just thought that was hilarious. I was like, we're doing things nicknames and
Right.
literally making that distinction between perimenopause and menopause. And so many women didn't know that there was a difference in how, like, perimenopause is a phase, and menopause is literally a point in terms of definitions. And so I appreciated that a lot of women were asking questions and getting engaged, but a lot of them don't still weren't talking or raising their hands and asking questions kind of like behind the scenes because they're afraid of the stigma of what happens as they go through menopause, or
That's
what
right.
happens at when you do hit menopause, and how does that affect their sexual wellness, and what does that mean for them if they're having all these symptoms. And for them, they were talking about it, in the open, and people were asking tons of questions. But at the same time, I find that there's so many women who are going and having these symptoms, but they don't want to talk about it because they're
Right.
embarrassed,
Right.
or the symptoms are so debilitating, whether that's having hot flashes in the middle of the day and sweating and all the other things that go on. And why do you think women still don't want to talk about these symptoms and these issues that they're facing and suffering in silence versus having these conversations that are more dynamic so that we can actually have real talk about helping us overall thrive? Because
Yeah.
right now we're borderlining on a public health condition the way women are going through menopause. I mean,
Yes.
going through perimenopause and leading up to menopause.
It's still that negative stigma across all cultures. So, my background, I'm Nigerian. I grew up in Jamaica and I've lived most of my adult life in the United States. No matter where you go, getting older as a woman means loss of vitality. It means not attractive. It means
Hmm.
your husband is gonna find a different partner or a younger, better thing versus actually what truly it means. And amongst women, admitting that you are going through it means you're verbalizing that you are getting older, hence replaceable, hence not as important in society, hence,
Yes.
all the different negative thoughts. So People are afraid, even on the one on one private consultation in an exam room, closed door, HIPAA guarded, all of the above. Women are still, oh, no, 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 that's not me. Oh, I get a hot flash, but it's not that bad. Or, this
Mhm.
is still that negativity. So we need to work on our mindset is it's okay. It's a natural progression that everybody is going to go through. Just accept it. It's fine, but it doesn't have to be something negative. When it becomes negative, at least in my opinion, is when you ignore symptoms that, if not treated well at a certain time, will result in something else later on. We're talking about early changes of your vaginal mucosa that, if not taken care of, will result in that atrophy, that will result in that dryness, that pain, recurrent UTIs, kidney infections, and things like that. That lowered estrogen levels and, low bone density, that if not taken care of through many different avenues, not necessarily hormone replacement, will result in that weak bone, weak joints, fractures, and things later on. So that's where the issue is. If we accept it and we empower it, then we're able to treat symptoms so we don't end up with a diagnosis later on. We spend a lot
Right.
of time for women. I do a lot of first moon parties. Is I've done one for our local high school here. It's been awesome. We spend so much time. We talk about our first period. I have two girls, and thank you, Lord Jesus, that they got their periods. I was around and available for them as a working mother. It was my biggest fear, being on call and their periods will come, but I was available. But saying that is we get girls prepared. We'll walk them through every single stage. This is what you will expect. This is what may happen. This is XYZ. But towards our last period, no one prepares us for what to expect. Again, that normal thing. It's a normal stage to go from your pre-puberty to puberty. But perimenopause to menopause, it's still normal. There's nothing negative about it. And the bad part, is when you look at the opposite sex for men, it's glorified their aging.
Oh yeah.
Distinguished, gray hair, you're distinguished, balded. That just means more testosterone in your body. It's they need a little extra help with the Viagra and the this, or yeah, you can call a number, you can go to your doctor's office, announce boldly, I need Viagra, and everybody will clap for you and say, good job, you're keeping it going. Awesome.
Yeah, you still got it. Yeah.
We need to have the same attitude. Honestly, it starts with us
Right.
women. We cannot look at anyone else to validate what our bodies are going through. We have to look at each other and say, yes, it's okay. Some people have it a little bit, some people have it a lot, but these are just symptoms. And
Right.
symptoms, when we deal with it, will prevent diagnosis later on. So let's just get to the point. Let's get to the point.
Yeah. And so when a lot of times we talk about the symptoms and now we're obviously attributed to hormonal fluctuations, but talk to us about some of the things that if we just keep ignoring them
Oh, yeah.
and we don't talk about these symptoms,
Yes.
not just in terms of how to like diminish them or evade them or cope through them, but what can they mean for our overall health and well-being, not just from a physical point standpoint, but that mental, emotional, that social, all
Yeah.
these other different aspects or dimensions of health and well-being that will affect us negatively if we don't have conversations, clear
Yes.
conversations about these symptoms and what we can do about them.
Yes. I mean, on the physical aspect, we know, lots of research has been done about our sleep and its impact on cardiovascular disease and your cognitive well being. Not sleeping well, either waking up in the middle of the night, hot flashes, or just your sleep disturbance of the hormonal fluctuations can impact your risk for heart disease, for heart attacks, can impact your cognitive well being. So, increasing risk for things like dementia and even
Mm-hmm.
things like strokes. So not talking about it long term will result in something that can impact your quality of life overall. Women are living longer. Human beings in overall, we are living longer. So there are things that we are seeing that are related to hormonal changes and things that, if taken care of at the proper time, will allow you a healthier life much longer. So sleep disturbance is one of them. The hormonal changes that results in vaginal dryness is that, if taken care of at the right time, will really keep that vaginal mucosa in a healthier way to enable you to enjoy sexual relations, your vaginal tissue to be lubricated, but not just that, but just your collagen
Hmm.
structure, your pH, your type of microbial environment that reduces the possibility for UTIs later on. All that is maintained. So as you live longer, you're living a full, longer life with your life partner. Other things that we know about those hot flashes can be related to other things that's going on within our brain. So, hot
Right.
flashes, the way that I look at it is that our internal thermostat is off. So, when that thermostat is off, it's because of estrogen levels dropping in a way, and that one is the one that is most noticeable. But there are other things that estrogen impacts in our brain that is not as noticeable. Me personally, going through my changes, it became apparent when I was looking for words, things, very simple words like pass me that that thing, pen, let me get it,
Hmm.
is all these things are related to those changes. So paying attention to these things, talking about it, actively managing it, either with medications, therapy, exercises, all these things will mean a much healthier life later on as we are living longer.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important that people need to recognize that hormones run everything in our
Correct.
bodies.
Yes.
And even when we're talking, right now, we're talking about our reproductive hormones, our estrogen and our progesterone and our testosterone and LH and FSH and all the AMH and all these other different aspects. But there's also cortisol and testosterone, I mean, cortisol and thyroid
And
hormones.
thyroid,
And
yes.
when we forget about these two are, I'd say, more so cortisol than even thyroid, but bulls in China shops. If
Yes.
something's off with them, everything is going to be off. So we can't overlook the role that stress plays. And sometimes we attribute everything to stress. But when stress is a factor, some things are going to go up, some things are going to go down, some things just get wonky.
Yes.
Thyroid is the same way. Like, and someone's like, I've never, been this, had trouble with weight. I've never had this, but then their thyroid, you look at it and it's like, but your thyroid is bottoming out or it's becoming, hyperactive or hypoactive. And we're looking at these things, and all of these things can affect our reproductive hormones,
Yes.
especially during this perimenopausal time. And so when we can't just look at how it's affecting our menstruation or our ovulation, but what is life as life is doing? And trust me, life is life, and for a lot of us right now, as we're just bearing witness to all the things that are happening immediately around us, but also in the bigger aspect of the world, because our families are being affected,
Yes.
vocations are being affected, and it's happening to everyone, whether it's directly or indirectly or adjacent to. And I think some of us are starting to move through that phase where it's like becoming chronic stress, and this is just how we're living. So we don't even take into account that this ongoing level of stress is affecting us on ways that we're that not even registering yet. And these subtle things are happening because we're just living in chronic stress in ways that we weren't designed to. So, as we shift into some more exciting and new treatments, let's talk about this O shot injection. And I know it's getting a lot of interest from women looking to improve their libido and their sensitivity and
Yeah.
their overall sexual confidence.